The King of Mann was the title taken between 1237 and 1504 by the various rulers, both sovereign and suzerain, over the Kingdom of Mann, the Isle of Man, which is located in the Irish Sea at the centre of the British Isles. Kingdom of Mann and the Isles. See Kingdom of the Isles and list of rulers of the Kingdom of the Isles since the emergence of Somerled and his descendants in the 12th century. The Manx kings began to lose territory and power in the Hebrides. Before the reigns of the three sons of Olaf the Black, the Manx kings styled themselves King of the Isles. Although by the time of the reigns of Olaf's sons, the kings began to style themselves King of Mann and the Isles. Suzerainty of Norway. The kings of Mann and the Isles were vassals of the kings of Norway. Harald Olafsson, Ragnald Olafsson, Harald Godredsson, Magnus Olafsson. Scottish and English rule. Between 1265 and 1333, Mann was ruled directly by the kings of Scots of the kings of England. Independent kingdom. On 9 August 1333, Edward III renounced all English claims over the Isle of Man, and recognised it as an independent kingdom under its then king, William Montacute, 1st Earl of Salisbury. William le Scrope, Earl of Wiltshire, was the last King of Mann in this line, claiming descent from the House of Godred Crovan, the earlier Norse rulers. William le Scrope was executed for treason for his support of Richard II in his struggle with Henry Bolingbroke, who defeated Richard and became Henry IV. Le Scrope's possessions, including the Isle of Man, passed to the Crown. Kings of Mann in this period: William, Earl of Salisbury, William, Earl of Salisbury, William, Earl of Wiltshire. English suzerainty. As Henry's predecessor Edward III had recognized Mann as an independent kingdom, Henry IV did not directly claim the Manx throne, but instead proclaimed that he had acquired the island by right of conquest, which in international legal theory at the time erased any existing constitutional arrangements. He then, on 19 October 1399, granted the island as a fiefdom under the English crown to Henry Percy, 1st Earl of Northumberland, together with wide-ranging powers of government and associated regalities, together with the style of Lord of Man, in a position of feudality and thus without sovereignty. Despite this, Percy styled himself as King of Mann. Following Percy's treasonous rebellion, Henry IV granted the suzerainty of the Isle of Man, on similar terms but only for the term of his life, to Sir John Stanley in 1405. In addition, but separate from the power of governance over the island, John Stanley was also granted the patronage of the Diocese of Sodor and Man. A second letters patent were issued and re-granted to Sir John Stanley on 6 April 1406, the difference being that the grant was inheritable and had a different feudal fee, the service of which comprised rendering homage on a tribute of 2 falcons to all future kings of England on their coronations. Kings of Mann in this period: Henry, Earl of Northumberland, John Stanley, Thomas, Lord Stanley, Thomas, Earl of Derby, Lord of Man, Edward Stanley, 3rd Earl of Derby, the son of Thomas Stanley, 2nd Earl of Derby, did not take the style king, and he and his successors were generally known instead as Lord of Man. However, the Latin style Rex Manniae Insularum continued to be occasionally used in official documents until at least the 17th century. In 1765 the title was revested in the Crown of Great Britain. Thus today the title Lord of Man is used by Queen Elizabeth II. In 2015, David Drew Howe's genealogy showed he was descended from the Stanley family. TLC channel show Suddenly Royal chronicles his attempt to claim the kingship of the Isle of Man.